call the Twilight Zone.
Steve Kerr, and you look at Steph and Clay, and even Draymond with his lack of performance.
He's in 2 in a row, 7 points for him. The twirling Doncic, melting into the defense. The front player strikes. Swing, fly ball, well hit left center. Ronald Acuna has home rookie rushing record for the Steelers.
Look, he came into this game averaging 3.67 yards per carry, 42nd out of 49 qualified rushers.
Freeze to begin the third quarter. It has been incredible. Here he comes again. Oh, goodness. And the Greek basketball god. And he was a great guy to teach
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. No, you don't need to check your calendars or your don't change that dial. We are live on a Friday night right now. Aaron joining me this evening. We got a little Friday night magic. Decided to get in the studio with a lot of crazy stuff happening. Obviously in the world of NFL. We've also got a new legal gambler, sports gambler on mobile gambling here in Ohio.
Who, me?
Yeah, do a little sports gambling talk. Let's kind of let it flow. Aaron, you're doing dry January tonight.
I am, yeah, but that doesn't preclude the Labatt Blue non-alcoholics.
Beautiful.
I just honestly, it's Friday night, and I was like, I kind of want a cold beer. I don't, it doesn't have to have alcohol in it. I just kind of still like the taste.
Love it. Love it. Em coming in. What's going on, Emerald? Thanks for dropping by. Good to have you here on this Friday night. And yeah, Line to Gain making its comeback. That was an old football podcast at the day one Rally Tell Sports people know Line to Gain. So we thought we'd bring it back. Betting lines, football. It's all love. It's all love. I'm sipping on a little red wine this evening. I didn't realize right until just this moment that my cup and shirt match very well.
Very good. You filled that thing up to the brim there, huh?
I did. Yeah, I didn't realize it was gonna go all the way.
You look like you're drinking Kool-Aid, man. Nobody fills up 16 ounces of red wine.
Well, I have the extra large, like what are the stemless wine glasses, which are phenomenal, by the way.
Obviously.
And then and then like one of these things, which they're like little mini bottles. I don't even know.
You stole that from an airplane.
Yeah, it does, right? And I'm trying to think or get like, what is I don't know, like the total, but it's not a full wine bottle. It's like a third almost, right? But this fits, like one of those glasses takes the whole one of these. So I'll just like start dinner with it and then just kind of like,
I dig it.
Throughout the evening. This glass is apparently smaller. So, yeah. But no,
filling it up that large, it's like when somebody has like the large wine glass and then that fits a whole bottle and they're like, I'm just having one glass.
Just one. Exactly. It's exactly the same philosophy.
Like, Deborah, you're an alcoholic.
But I decided to go, it's a Friday night. I decided to go a little bit classier other than the cutoff t-shirt here.
Obviously.
I have a candle lit and I'm drinking red wine. You just had to class it up a little bit. People spending their Friday nights with us, which thank you, by the way.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I'm going hipster lumberjack with the NA.
You're rocking it, man. You look great.
Rocking it.
Got anything going on this weekend? Anything good?
We are going. I'm going virtual golfing tomorrow.
Sick.
Gonna hit up the simulator, and Sunday is Mary's mom's birthday.
Oh, fun. Good.
Yeah.
Go out to do a brunch. Mom's like brunch.
It's a dinner actually, but it's
there
after
you
the
go.
Browns game, so I'm good. After the 1 o'clocks.
It's like, actually, I got something going on early afternoon. Could we go to a dinner? Could we make that happen? Something like that. Yeah, no, that's pretty dope. I got the family coming up from Cincinnati, coming up to Detroit, doing Christmas with them. So that'll be fun. Girls got soccer tomorrow. Last soccer game of the year. So can't hold anything back. It's their week 18 too.
What's the line on the hat trick?
The line on the hat trick, I think it's probably about a plus 700, somewhere in that range.
That's reasonable. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in that range. I gotta see if we're going live, if we're live on Facebook right now. I tried to set it up to do so, but let's see here. See if we got it going. Anyway, yeah, so we're gonna talking sports, talking a little bit of the mishaps, or at least the blunder of the NFL playoffs, and that happened here early afternoon is when the news came out. Go ahead.
I feel like I volunteered to jump on just to make sure I could be here to calm you down.
Oh, was that a thing? Did you guys have a side group chat?
No. This was my decision.
Well, I could appreciate that. We'll get into that here in just a second. M coming in with a comment. 1 tickets to the Colts game Sunday. Not really wanting to make the drive. I don't know what the drive to Indy is for you there, Emerald, but we've got a split decision on that one here.
When you're not winning, I'll tell you anecdotal story for that. It was, the Browns season where they went 0-16, and it was like week 12 or 13, and they're playing the Cowboys. My buddy calls me. He's like, I got club seats. I got a parking pass, so we can just park right next to the stadium. Do you want to go to the game? And I'm like the manager of the Indians in Major League, where I'm like, I don't know. And I eventually went, but it took him a lot. He's like, I'll drive. I'll buy some drinks. And I was like, dude, I could just stay in bed and not watch that fucking dumpster fire. So I get it. Not to say that the Colts are a complete dumpster fire, but it's Colts Texans. It's that's hard to psych yourself up for.
Exactly. There's not a whole lot of implications, going on. It's not like Jonathan Taylor's going for, the rushing title or something like that. There's not a whole lot of things to kind of bring you to Lucas Oil, other than the fact that
when you're there, there's nothing better than live NFL football. So 3 hours though. Yeah, I'm staying home.
Yeah, that's a tough go. 3 hour drive, not only 3 and back, like especially if they're, which most of the panel
round trip, and that's still tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I think 75%, 3 out of the 4 guys on the show said that they thought that the Colts were going to lose this one. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I picked the Texans.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you and I believe Todd picked the Texans. I might have been lone wolf on the Colts this weekend. I can't remember off the top of my head. Hell of a mistake.
You took the Colts, yeah?
Yeah, I remember taking the Colts. I was listening back to the podcast, this morning from Wednesday night, but run some film. Absolutely. You got to get better. Always getting better, always improving. But I think we got to get into it.
Get into it. Yeah, this is why we're here. That's why
I got to talk about
the Friday night SmackDown. I don't know. Friday night SmackDown? Sure.
Sure. Yeah. Dude, it's just, for those of you that maybe you need a refresher, or you forgot, or you don't know, or I don't know what rock you're under currently, but basically what happened today in the NFL. And Aaron, feel free to chime in on anywhere where I'm just completely.
I'll chime. I think you should go here though. I'll let you roll.
Basically, what happened was the NFL had proposed a solution to the Bills-Bengals game not happening, being postponed at the time. They had then decided that it was going to be canceled. They were not going to remake that game. How do they fix what is going to happen in terms of seeding? Being that one of the top 3 teams, two of the top 3 teams won't have an equal number of games played. And the solution that was proposed was basically, if both, like, to summarize, because it's pretty confusing just from reading it. If Buffalo and Kansas City both win, or Buffalo and Kansas City both lose, and both of those teams are in the AFC Championship game, the game will be played on a neutral site. That is the general synopsis of that part of it. The other part of it was that if the Bengals were to lose to the Ravens on Sunday, they then would have to flip a coin to decide whether or not they would be hosting a home game or on the road for the first round of the playoffs, should they be playing the Ravens. So what would that need to happen? The Ravens would need to beat the Bengals on Sunday. The Chargers would need to beat who the Chargers playing? Broncos?
Broncos, yeah.
Broncos. The Chargers would need to beat the Broncos. And then the Ravens would need to win the coin toss. And then the Ravens, not being a division champ, would then host a playoff game.
So I told you this when we were talking about it earlier. This is, I definitely do not have as big of a gripe with this as you do, and rightfully so. You have some legitimate skin in the game here as a fan of the Bengals. This is the one to me that I can't even talk my way around. I think this is my biggest problem with this entire solution. While as a whole, I would say I approve it. I would compare this to, you know how there's like bills that pass through Congress that there's concessions that are made, right? Yeah. I like 60% of the meat in it, but I'm going to have to swallow 40% of the fat and make some, you know what I'm trying to say?
Like you're getting extra pay for teachers, but you're also going to have to cut road funding.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because you're never going to get 100%. But my biggest gripe here is there are legitimate ramifications for winning the division that aren't just, hey, congratulations, you get a home playoff game in week 1.
Sure.
That means you're getting the number 1 schedule for next year, which means you're going to go up against, you know, the other number 1s in the division. You're going to get a number 1 place schedule. Obviously, there's the draft implications as well. But most importantly, it's the schedule game that's going to play next year.
Right.
And anybody that wins the division and has to play that schedule next year should get the fruits of that in the year of doing so. So it's just insane to me that you can sit here and go, all right, well, even if, you know, if the Ravens win and all that scenario shakes out the way that you just stated, that the Bengals are now not getting a home playoff game. That's the part to me that I'm just like, I can't stand that one. And I am the most upset about for you. Sure. And then I know there's some other things that we spoke about, so I'll let you continue on the other pieces of it.
Well, yeah, just kind of on that comment, like they were talking to Jamar Chase today in the locker room, and I don't know if he was kind of doing this tongue in cheek. He seemed pretty genuine when he was making these comments, but it was like something to the effect of, well, you guys are the division champs. You know, you're the division champs. It's like, oh, we are? Really? That happened? He's like, you didn't know that? And he's like, no. And they said, but you have to win on Sunday, and if not, there's a coin toss to decide whether or not you host a playoff game. He was like, seriously? So we're not the division champs yet, right? Like we didn't win the division yet. I sure as hell hope we win on Sunday. Basically. Right. And he had even made a comment, is like, well, I think that's bullshit. This is exactly what he said. Those words came out of his mouth.
Well, what's the point of winning the division if?
Yeah. What is that?
Title? Cool. No one wants to put that in the rafters.
Exactly. And I think Bengals fans share that sentiment. I think the Bengals players share that sentiment of like, well, we didn't win the division then. We haven't won the division then. If we're not guaranteed a home playoff game, we didn't win the division. That's why you win the division, is to get that. Yeah, you want the bragging rights. You want to lock down the fact that you're going to the playoffs, but you want that first playoff game to be in your stadium. You earned that right. And I appreciate that's the gripe there. If they had done everything the way that it was, my biggest problem is also with the coin toss. But
I meant the whole thing, because I don't like coin tosses in general. I don't like them for the draft.
I don't like them for the draft either. But here's my biggest issue with the whole coin toss thing is, if you're going to do that, if you're going to say, we're not really comfortable with the fact that you played one less game than the Ravens, and they beat you twice. So, like, you could have lost to Buffalo on Monday night, which, yes, absolutely, the Bengals could have lost that game on Monday night. I'm not one of those people saying that they had it in the bag. It was the first quarter, guys. They were rolling. They looked good. I've said that because they were. Those are true things.
They were, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that they won that game. But they are saying, if you had lost, they being the NFL, if you had lost, and the Ravens had beat you, they would be division champs. Cool. That's fair. That's a fair compromise. But what if we had won? What's not happening is the Bills. Let's say the Bills win the Bills win on Sunday, and the Chiefs lose on Sunday to the Raiders. If that game had played out and the Bengals had won, the Bills would be the number 1 seed still. And then the Bengals would be the number 2 seed with the Chiefs, basically. What's not happening is you're not giving the opportunity, should the Bengals and Chiefs, should the Bengals and Bills meet in that second divisional round, you're not giving the opportunity of a coin flip for the Bengals, for them to get that home field advantage had they won, which they would have if they were at the number 2 seed. I'm not even talking about the number 1 seed. If they're at the 2 seed, they're hosting 2 playoff games at their home field. Yeah. The Chiefs last year at the 2 seed hosted 3. So if you're going to do it one way, if you're going to do the coin flip the one way, assuming the worst case scenario for the Bengals, which is a possibility of what could have happened on Monday night, then you need to do it the other way as well. You need to give that opportunity back the other way. Otherwise, it's a one-way street. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
The issue with it is the Bills are already wrapped up in their division, so there wasn't really an issue with whether they won or right. No. But what I'm saying is, I don't know how the Ravens even got dragged into this. To me, I get everything that they did, but I would have just left that piece of it out.
Which is what the original rule was, actually.
Well, yeah, and that was like the COVID rule, which while
it was instituted in COVID.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, right. That's what I'm saying. That and we never had to use it, which is the wilder thing. Because this year they just plugged on. They didn't even. I didn't hear about any single positive test because statistically speaking, that's not true.
Right.
They're like, we're done testing for weed and COVID, boys. Have fun.
Going to titty bars and smoking joints. Nobody cares.
It's fine. Because everyone knows the biggest place to get COVID is at the titty bars.
Yeah. Well-known fact. That's why there's a lot of cases in Florida. But the issue again is just that they're not playing it on both sides there. I just don't understand it. I think that's the biggest thing. Let me be clear about one thing. Have I accepted that this is what's happening? Yeah. I mean, getting I am not going to in fact enact any change by being mad about it. I understand that. Nonetheless, it's insanity to me. It's crazy that this is the solution that they came up with. And the other thing that blows my mind is it wouldn't change anything if they had given that opportunity in this program. Like if they had said, okay, well then if we're going to do a coin flip one way, let's do the coin flip the other way too. It wouldn't have affected anything else. Like everything else would still be the same.
So you're saying you think the Bengals-Bills game should have been a coin flip rather than a no contest to make all the records even?
Or if the Bengals and Chiefs had met up in the divisional round, what you have in that situation is the exact same scenario if the Bengals lose on Sunday with the Ravens. You would have an opponent who has a different amount of games played with a better head-to-head record. So the Ravens and Bengals have a different amount of games that would have been played. The Ravens, should they win on Sunday, have a better head-to-head record against the Bengals. They should, that's the logic that they're utilizing to give the Ravens an opportunity for a home game. So let's say that the Bengals and Chiefs meet up in the divisional round. What you're then getting is an opponent that has a different total games played, but one of them has a stronger head-to-head record. And you're not allowing that opportunity that you're giving to the Ravens, that you're not giving that opportunity to the Bengals either, to at least flip the coin. Which that part just, I don't understand why that's not in it. And the only thing, like, as not necessarily me, because I'm not necessarily some like conspiracy theorist or anything like this, but like that is a common feeling amongst Bengals fans right now, is just like,
Right.
why aren't you giving us any of this? You know, what do you have against us? Why is Big Brother out against us?
So that's the part where I pull the cord and get off the bus, because I'm with you on everything. It's the conspiracy part to me, because we've seen it all on Twitter.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of Bengals fans. I don't want to say complaining, because I think there's justification. You know what I mean? But I don't know a better word to say than complaining about the outcome. But I don't mean that in a negative connotation necessarily. But after a certain point, you see enough, and then you start to get down the rabbit hole of, the NFL's out to get us. We did the right thing on Monday and we're being punished for it. Stuff like that. I just can't. That's the part where you lose me a little bit. And I'm not saying that you're preaching conspiracy theory by any mean, but take a poll of any fan base in the NFL, and they're going to say the NFL has it out for them and the refs hate them, because that's just the eyes that we look at everything through with our fan hat and fan glasses on. I can tell you, Browns fans always think the refs have hated us ever since Bottlegate. Like, that's what everyone points back to. They're like, well, we threw bottles at the refs, we're never going to get calls. I'm like, my brother, that was like 22 years ago. I think they're over it. Even if that was the case.
Different franchise, technically.
Yeah, sorry,
right?
There's plastic bottles in every stadium now. You're welcome. So that's the part where I just get lost on it, because here's the thing is, I think rightfully so, Bengals fans in general are being praised for how, fans, organization, everybody a part of Cincinnati is being praised for doing the right thing on Monday. And that is 100% correct, because they really did. And I think Cincinnati really showed out to the rest of, and the only other example I can think of is when Kevin Durant blew out his Achilles and Toronto booed, or like cheered. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you're like, ooh, that's a bad look.
Bad look.
So that's, and not to compare the two, because one is obviously a lot more serious.
But the sentiment,
you know what I mean?
is still
The sentiment, right?
Like, it's clear that this guy is really fucked up, and you're taking advantage of that and only thinking about your team's gain of that situation.
So I do agree with you that the Bengals got the short end of the stick, but I'm falling short on saying there's some kind of conspiracy. And the other thing too is, like, if the Bengals, people were saying, like, obviously they didn't play the next day on Tuesday, and they're like, well, we could play this game Wednesday. And I'm like, if it wasn't okay to play on Monday, we still didn't have all the
nothing had changed.
Yeah, like, I was like, okay, now you're starting to lose me a little bit, because you want to play the game because solely football reasons. Obviously, everyone understood that game could not continue on Monday, but we said it on our podcast on Wednesday, man. Like, we're allowed to talk about this stuff, and especially, with, the health seeming to be on the rise, for DeMar, which is a good thing. I don't want to, say anybody's out of the woods by any means, but
yeah, I mean, obvious, I had my name as Todd the entire time on the broadcast, but obvious, fantastic news today with the breathing tube being removed. And actually, it's a really good timing, because we have a guest jumping in with us tonight. We've got Tommy from the Mafia Sports Report coming on to join us tonight. Tommy, what is going on,
Tommy?
Man?
What is up, guys? Man, thank you for having me on. It's my second time.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
dude, it's beautiful, man. I'm glad you just wrapped up over on your channel, if I'm not mistaken. Is it your Friday Night Lights podcast? Is that right?
Yep. Friday Night Lights on Mafia Sports Report. We just finished. Do about an hour there on Friday nights. Just basically a quick preview of the game. A little bit of fun talk. Other than that, that's about it. We do all our talking on the other nights, but that's our preview show.
No, and I think Aaron, Tommy, I think this might be the first time you guys have gotten to interact here. And Aaron, is that not the dream man cave that you're sitting in right there?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's looking pretty good back there, man.
Yeah.
Neon sign to tie it all in.
My living room, by the way. So obviously, I'm single.
Yeah, I'm stuck in the music room here, so we're all good.
Yeah, I like it.
No, but Tommy, I appreciate you jumping on. We were just we're going over the news that broke today in regards to the playoff scenario, and I just kind of want to get your take on that, and I'm glad to have it. And because the sentiment that I'm getting is that both the Bills fans and Bengals fans feel like they kind of got a short end of the stick here. I don't know if you feel that way, if you feel like there's one team that got, skewed a little bit more hard, got the shorter end, or if you feel like it's a pretty fair compromise. What's your opinion on it?
I think the NFL, I think the NFL had a tough time with this. I think that this is something like what happened on Monday night was something that, hasn't happened since 1970 something, they said, when a player, almost died on the field. You're at week 17. Like what can you do in a makeup game? The playoffs are right around the corner. Very tough decision for the NFL to make it. And you're talking about a period of what? They had to do it in 4 days, right? Like get together, make a decision. Everybody needs to be happy, right? Like it's not just the Bills and Bengals that need to be happy. It's the Chiefs and the Ravens, right? It's like all the top teams have to go, yeah, I agree with this, the ownership at least. So I wouldn't want to be in that room making a decision because no one ultimately is going to be happy. The fans are you know how that goes. But me, listen, I'll be honest with you. When it all happened, I said, listen, the best way to do this, in my opinion, was just a no contest. There's no time to make up for that game. It wasn't going to happen.
Sure.
And you can't push a Super Bowl back and all that crap. It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
So
we're on the same page so far.
Yeah, I was all up for a no contest, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is where it gets tricky because we don't know how that game would have played out, right? And it kind of sucks for the Bills in a way because let's say the Bills win, right? And we win Sunday, then we are the number 1 seed, no problem. We got the home field, we got the bye week. But what if we lose? And so there's a lot that could have happened there, but who knows, right? Nobody knows. So anyways, it's tough. I'll be honest with you. I my whole thinking when I first read the whole, what they were, the scenarios.
Yeah.
I thought, at least on my end, I said, you know what? That's about as fair as you're going to get. I'm going to be honest with you because we don't know how that game would have played out. So I didn't mind the whole, if it gets to the AFC Championship game and it's the Bills and the Chiefs, then you played it at a alternate field or whatever, right? Like,
sure.
Different kind of field. It's fair for both sides. Your fans got to show up. Okay. Tickets and go, right? Now, the Bengals, what I'm hearing with your situation is a little bit trickier with the Ravens. I didn't really dive too much into it. Mikey kind of brought it up on Friday night, the podcast we just got off of.
I can tell you about it.
That one kind of screws you a little bit from what I heard. If I'm a Bengals fan, I'm pissed. Okay. As a Bills fan, though, for my scenario, I think that's fair for me. But your scenario, and you can go through it like the total breakdown because Mikey kind of explained a little bit, but from what I gathered, I could see why you're upset.
I think the biggest thing that both Bills fans and Bengals fans have a gripe about is prior to this, situation, which, everyone is wholeheartedly mostly concerned about an individual who seems to be on the rebound, awake, communicating, which is fantastic.
Amazing. Really.
And it is. It's awesome to see what, science can do to, do that. But so we've acknowledged that. And once we've acknowledged that, I think it's a safe space to move forward and start talking about logistics and how we, move forward as a league. So the number one gripe that I'm hearing, Bills, Bengals, is that they both controlled their own destiny to an extent. The Bills controlled their destiny in the fact that if they won out, they were guaranteed the number 1 seed. The Bengals controlled their destiny in that if they won out, they were guaranteed at least the number 2 seed.
Correct.
Had they won out the rest of their games.
Correct.
That has been taken away, obviously, from the Bills and from the Bengals for seeding. So the issue with the Bengals is that they are basically said, yeah, you're AFC North champs. You're going to, as Aaron alluded to earlier in the podcast, you're going to get the hardest schedule for the AFC North next year. You're going to play all the division champs next year. But if you lose on Sunday, you don't get to host a playoff game necessarily. If the Bengals lose to the Ravens on Sunday, and the Chargers win, the Bengals then have to do a coin flip with the Ravens to decide who is going to be hosting that playoff game. So you're telling me that the AFC North champion could go the entire way through the playoffs, not hosting a single playoff game.
See, right. See that exactly. So that's what I see. I think that's bullshit.
That's the one I have the biggest problem with of all of it.
And then the other side of that coin,
no
Tommy,
sense. Like that makes no sense. That makes
the other side of that coin, no pun intended, is that if the Bengals and Chiefs meet in the divisional round, you have the same situation where they've played a different amount of games, just like Bengals and Ravens, different amount of games, and one team has a head-to-head advantage. Ravens would have a head-to-head advantage on the Bengals in that situation. Bengals would have a head-to-head advantage on the Chiefs in that situation. But there was no offering of the coin flip in that scenario. There was no saying, hey, let's flip a coin there, and then we'll decide who gets to host that game. They've effectively said, the Bengals, you are the 3 seed, kinda, and we'll decide what happens from there. And I don't understand why they couldn't have done both. If you're going to throw the coin flip there on the one side, why can't you do it on the other as well?
So do you don't get Bengals Chiefs at a neutral site?
Nope.
It happens.
Arrowhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
that's ridiculous.
I don't get that. Like, why couldn't you have done that? It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, I'm glad we're not involved in any coin toss.
Yeah, dude. Like, what the fuck?
The Bills going to lose a coin toss.
So just like on Monday night, though, just like on Monday night, obviously the one thing that was interesting about this situation was, had this happened 10 years ago, they're playing that game.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because of the influence that social media has on these decisions that are made now, because you can kind of, although Twitter is probably not the best place to do it, you can kind of at least get a little bit of a social gauge on what's actually going on and what people think. You have like credible journalists, basically everybody agreeing, don't you dare start this game. And at least the NFL can look at that. So what I'm going to say though, the only thing I want to say is, if this does end up going to a coin toss, with all the crap I've seen from everybody saying how unfair this is, I think I have an idea of which way that coin's going to fall.
Yeah.
I would be very, very surprised, even if that situation happened, that the Ravens would have that home game.
Go on. Just say what you mean there.
I mean, the coin toss happens. It's not like they're like, we're live, 7:00 ESPN for the coin toss.
Oh,
between
100% they are.
Ravens and the Bengals. Right. It happens in Goodell's office, and it's going to land heads or whatever the Bengals get.
Yeah, I disagree with this. I don't think social media had anything. I think this was no. I don't.
Okay.
The reason why the games didn't. No. So here's the deal. Here's the deal, man. I like, in my opinion, if a player to that extent, you got to remember. So you're in a packed stadium. I haven't personally, guys. See, I've been watching. I mean, I know you guys have been watching football a long time too, but I've been watching football since forever, right? The only time I've ever witnessed something now on a football field. Now I know this happened on basketball before, baseball, hockey, but I remember Kevin Everett for the Bills back in 2007. I want to say got paralyzed. I remember I watched the game live, and it was quiet. You could hear like a pin drop, and it was forever. It took forever, right? But either way, game went on. They knew, it was bad, but nobody knew he was paralyzed. They knew he was going on a board. He's alive. You know what I mean? Like, totally different. They're not doing CPR. Players are on both sides are holy, trust me, the word got around that stadium that there's a player potentially dying on the football field. It's totally different than, oh shit.
Of course, of course it's different.
So that's one, right? Two, it's never happened, at least unless back way in the 70s, right? So it hasn't happened since the 70s. So we're in 2023, right? And it happens now. You don't know the emotion there. Like when they panned around all the players, there was no way in hell. And I don't think it has nothing to do with social media that game was going on. Only because I'm going to tell you.
I get your point.
I don't think a single player on that field, including the Bengals, witnessed that in their lifetime as being a football player. talking about Pop Warner, high school, college. Now they've seen injuries, but I think that shook them. And I don't think that game was continuing. I don't think the players had it in them. I don't think it had nothing. Like, I get where you're coming from with the social media thing. Trust me, and that plays a big factor in.
I think what Aaron's saying is mostly derived in his distrust of the NFL, and that he feels that they would just be like, "Yeah, we're moving forward. Thanks." Here's a card
during COVID. The NFL prides itself on
use promo code Goodell for 10% off. BetterHelp.com.
Red Zone. You watch Red Zone on Sunday, and they're like, all right, and it's kickoff. All the games are kicked off within like 30 seconds of each other. You can set a clock to the NFL. They don't miss shit. They do it right on time. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's the money.
Yeah,
dude, and you were saying earlier about
there is. Yeah.
It's so hard to do anything because even if this game happened in, let's say, week 14, the NFL would have worked around it. Like, right, this game's now on Thursday. This game's on
100%. It happened. It happened in 20. It happened in 2020, right? When games were getting when we played. Matter of fact, when we played the Titans, which was, by the way, total bullshit on our part, but that we had to wait, right? And we had to play like that was crap. That was pool crap.
They should have had to play. And the reason it didn't
the Titans should have had a forfeit.
They should have. Well, what I mean is they should have said, "Well, you're fielding a team with whatever you got. I don't know what to tell you."
That's what I mean. Or forfeit. Right?
Yes, because
it's not our fault that you guys went out, broke all the rules. Because we were good. We
100%. And at that time, you had the Denver Broncos trotting out a fucking practice squad wide receiver at quarterback because they didn't have enough people to fill the void on the roster.
The quarterback room was out of protocol, so they were all eligible.
It's insane. Absolutely.
But it's still somehow better than Russell Wilson. I'm just kidding.
What a disaster, huh?
Oh, my God.
This season, guys, in general, has not gone at all like I thought it would on both divisions, both conferences, AFC and NFC. It's been a wild year of football and a lot of disappointing.
So that's a good kind of topic to kind of lean into there. What is your biggest, I guess, surprise? Aaron, we could start with you. Biggest surprise and biggest disappointment, just league wide, not necessarily one for each conference.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I mean, one, I think the AFC West for sure, because that
in both regards they surprised you.
Right, you could say in both, but specifically, specifically on the AFC side, just because it basically went exactly the opposite, where it was, all right, you got all these teams that got new players, they're going to do better. Mahomes is losing Tyreek Hill. You know, how's that offense going to look? Yeah, just same as always. It's fine. Chargers play marginally better this year, and by that I mean make the playoffs. And the Broncos and Raiders are terrible.
Yeah.
And
that's my biggest surprise.
I think like the fact that the Seahawks are competing for a playoff spot is mind blowing.
Yes.
Like, I don't know that we've talked about this enough, even on our show, is that like, does Pete Carroll deserve at least a nod for Coach of the Year for just dragging?
He'll get in that. I think he'll get in the conversation.
Like dragging this corpse of a roster into the playoffs, and no one is expecting that to happen. First of all, no one thought Geno Smith was going to be the guy.
I did not.
I don't know who he is, but I think GM of the year.
I think it's a fluke. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think I don't usually tend to go with fluke seasons, but I'm gonna say it for Geno. I don't think Geno has another season like he had this season. I'm just going to throw it out there.
No, but he just bought himself 7 to 8 years of backup money.
100%. I think he just had, it's just one of those seasons, you know what I mean? Where things just kind of went right for him. But anyway, sorry to cut you off, Corey. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I think the biggest surprise has to be the Seahawks. I think the biggest disappointment, obviously there's an injury involved there, but the Los Angeles Rams, I mean, talk about Super Bowl slump, man. I mean, coming off of that. So, you know, obviously the injuries there, the Raiders have to be in that conversation as well. I'm just trying to think of another team that really dropped the ball here at Packers, but here they come, right? Here they come down the stretch. Looking like they could do it. So I would probably have to say biggest letdown would have to have been the Raiders, because I had the Raiders as or excuse me, I had the Broncos as the team that would be out on that division. I thought the Raiders might actually win that division, just because of the way their defense played last year. Derek Carr being okay, I thought was going to be something that happened, and that didn't even happen. And now on his way out. To Ty, I guess where are you landing? Biggest letdown, biggest surprise?
Dude, I got so many, bro.
Yeah,
Sure.
I could think of
I got a lot,
too.
bro. I got a lot, bro. So listen, first of all, the AFC West, right? I had a feeling the Chiefs were still going to be the Chiefs. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, they lost Tyreek." Listen, man, they still have speedy receivers there. They have weapons all over across the board. They still have Travis Kelce, who is a hybrid receiver tight end who's just a dog, right? You can't listen. I feel bad for the guy covering Kelce. You still got Mahomes. You still got Andy Reid. Like, that is a good team. I think people have thought Hill left. Oh my God, it's over. Like, no, bro. Like, that still a dynamic team. So I didn't think that the Raiders were going to win the division. However, I thought, my God, I mean, you got the Chargers improving on defense with Khalil Mack, and you got next to Bosa, and then you got Herbert always getting better. But in the back of my mind, it's still the Chargers.
Yeah.
Then you got Denver, who just spent all this money and traded all these picks, and they got Russell, right? And then they got all these. They have a decent team and just couldn't put it together. Coach sucked. Coach got fired. Failure, right? And then you got the Raiders, who I never believed in Derek Carr. I'll be honest with you. I don't hate Derek Carr. I just don't. He's one of those guys that can get you to playoffs like every other season and get you maybe to the second round. And then that's it. Like, he's not like a guy that's going to take you all the way. And in my opinion, unless you have an excellent defense, which they do not. Then you got the Colts.
Oh God, Jesus!
Who had one of the best running backs in the league, Jonathan Taylor, right? And by the way, I like Frank Reich, but his mess up was the quarterback situation. Since the day he got there, getting older quarterbacks, they didn't, and that maybe falls on the GM too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little bit more on. Yeah,
right. But it always falls back on the coach. Let's be real, right? The coach and the quarterback's always the guys usually they point the finger at.
Sure.
And then Reich seemed to get like just desperate and bench Matt Ryan, and then he gets fired. And then boom, they're done, right? And then you got Tennessee, who won the AFC last season. Or I think they were second, right? Or did they win the division? I think they won the number one AFC team, right? Last season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. They had the first round bye. Yeah, absolutely.
So, a team that went from the first round bye to having to play the Jacksonville Jaguars last week of the season to get in the playoffs. Like, wild, right? So just a lot. And then you got the NFC. You got the Packers, who potentially get in the playoffs with 9 wins, which is crazy. The Lions, who started 1-6, who has an opportunity. So there's this season has been wild. Tampa Bay, speaking of Tampa Bay, they've been a weird team all season long. They got 8 wins that are going to get into the playoffs. Like, that's wild.
You know what? That's kind of standard for the NFC South. It almost seems I feel like every
just Tampa's been running away with it every year, or for the last
that's fair.
2. It's because it's 11, 12 wins will do it, but they just played them 6 times.
Yeah. And then I got one more team. The 49ers, who have been lost in quarterback. And when the Purdy guy came in, I said, that's probably it. Like, they're not going far with it. Like, they tried. They have a good team, but they're going to have to figure it out next. And everyone winning games. So it's like, it's wild. And Minnesota, by the way, is a team I think is, and I said it before, even though they beat us, which, by the way, was on us, I think Minnesota's record does not reflect that team. They're a decent team, but Cousins is not the answer. I know they are getting.
I don't think they're a decent team though, Tommy. They're like a terrible defense.
Bad defense, and I think their offense could be. That's what I mean. If Cousins isn't on, like, they're done. You know what I mean? And Cousins is so up and down.
Literally, how you were just describing Derek Carr. I was like, that just sounds like Kirk Cousins. They're on every other year. He needs a good defense.
You know who was on that? They're like the Tannehill line, like the Tannehill kind of.
Tannehill, Dalton, really, Cousins, Carr.
Yeah. They do just enough where you better have a good defense, and some weapons, and you squeeze in the playoffs or get lucky and maybe win you a game. But you see all these teams, Titans, they usually go out. I mean, it's the way Raiders, like they don't go far. The Chargers, so yeah, it's been a wild season. And also the AFC East, I got to say, all these teams that were, when the Bills were 6-3 and the Dolphins are the hot shit and Tua MVP and the Jets.
Oh, we got a pooch make an appearance behind you there, Tommy.
Oh,
little pup saying hello. You know what's crazy is we were saying this the other night on the show is we're kind of in a point now where 5-8 weeks ago we were saying there can be 3 teams from the AFC East making the playoffs. We might see only one make the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's my point.
And you guys are right there. There's still so many wild things to say because you're right there with it. Say football in New York this year is just a surprise.
It's wild.
Absolutely.
The Giants, the Jets.
People get ahead of themselves early on, guys. It's funny how football works. So you could be like 6-3, whatever.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my, the Bills or the Dolphins. And I'm like, guys, it's a long season. Wait till December. Like this is where, and look at the Dolphins, 5 in a row loss. Like all these teams. And I always,
I didn't expect that from the Dolphins. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to fall that hard.
I didn't think they lose 5 in a row, but they had a rough road schedule though.
Actually, Aaron, you might remember this. I did say that coming down the stretch, the Dolphins were going to be held up against some legitimate defenses, and they were going to struggle coming down the stretch. I had made that comment, so I feel a little validated in that. But that being said,
the in and out of the lineup of Tua all year, certainly.
Yes, exactly where I was going with that is I think that has more to do with it than anything.
Well, his play too wasn't the best, even when he was in the game.
Yeah, but he's still. I mean, with those receivers, he made that go.
No, 100%. But if you look at the last 3 games with Tua, right? So you go back to San Francisco when remember the Dolphins were on
a good defense.
When they finally, and I said it, I called it. I said, okay, let's see. And I hate to be that guy where it's like you haven't played anybody. Like I don't believe in that, but I also believe in. All right, let's see what you can do on the next level, right? like playing a video game. All right, go to the next level. Let's see how you play here. So when they went to San Fran, you saw the mistakes. You saw Tua making the late quarter mistakes in the fourth quarter. You saw it, right? You saw him kind of breaking down. And then you saw it the next week. Then you saw it in the Bills game. Now, the Bills game, he played okay.
I thought he played really well in that game, actually. They put up like 30 points against you guys, didn't they not?
No, just under. It was 32-29.
Okay.
Either way, though, he did play. He played. Yeah, he played better than he did the previous 3 games. He was really at the.
I was actually really surprised by that because I had made the comment. I picked the Bills to win that game, but I had made the comment that they were going to kind of suffocate that offense, and that didn't happen. I was actually really impressed by the way that the Dolphins offense was able to move in Buffalo, cold, polar vortex kind of thing, and really, I thought they answered the bell.
They did
pretty well in terms of that. But I do agree that the major thing with them has been the fact that Tua's inconsistency, because even when they played the Bengals on Thursday night, I think the Bengals win that game even with Tua in that lineup. But when I'm watching him make some of those throws, the accuracy is still there. Like at that point in the season, Tua was an extremely accurate quarterback. And that's one of the things that he has always had throughout college and everything like that. It's just, it's kind of just been putting it all together. And then as the season has gone on, as these injuries have kind of unfolded, you've kind of seen that unravel a bit and you've seen that maybe shake his confidence, Aaron. I don't know where are you at on that? The whole is Tua shook? Is he, do you think he's bouncing back next year? Do the Dolphins try and move on?
I've never had a concussion at that level. I don't know what does that do to you? And he's been abused this year, and it's tough. I will say though, there have been times I've watched enough Dolphins this year. I like Tua. Again, I think a lot of that had to do with the receivers. I also really like McDaniel a lot. I think he's an interesting young mind for the NFL. I think he's drawn up some interesting plays and approaches the game, maybe just a little bit differently. But with Tua, there were so many times Tyreek's a burner, right? Like he can outrun any single corner defensive back in the league. And I'm constantly watching him run back to the ball when Tua throws it up. You know what I mean? He's not hitting him in stride. It's, we all see it.
So my thoughts on Tua is this real quick. So my thoughts on Tua is this. He's been prone to injury since high school. Like this is not like anything like we're like making up. Like he's had injury history throughout his career as a football player. I said it this season when he had his second. I don't care what anyone said.
No, nice little. Is the wine cork popping made me giggle.
It's Friday.
His second concussion. That I said, let's see if he can. I want to be shocked if he gets another because that's the way it works. Once you get one, it's easier to get another. It's easier to get another. And he's had multiple, and we're not even counting college and high school. We have no idea what this guy. It's just he just doesn't make it through a season. It's this way his career has been. That's one. Two, the Dolphins ownership and GM have been trying to push Tua out. Let's be real. Since he came there. They try to sign Tom Brady.
My perspective of that was that it was more Brian Flores that didn't want Tua, and that was the reason why he didn't play him last year and everything like that, and then that's why he's not there anymore.
You would think that, but
so why'd they draft him?
The owner got suspended for a reason for trying to bring in Tom Brady this season.
Sure.
So that can't be the case.
I mean, I guess, but at the same time, like, when are you not going to try and do that, right? You know what I mean? It's not like the Bucks were what they were this year. It's not like Tom Brady was. So, like, when aren't like there's only a select few teams that are like saying no to Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even though he's a cyborg, like Tua was drafted in the first round to be a franchise quarterback. So it is only a big deal because you're signing up for 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 years of Tom Brady to do that, as opposed to in a perfect world, 8 to 10 years of a franchise quarterback.
And that's to his third season, I believe, right? Third or fourth. You know what I mean? It's not like he's like, if he was 1 year in, even 2, I would say, yeah, bring in Brady, let him learn behind Brady, right? Watch Brady. Perfect. No, but there's no way you didn't kill that kid's confidence. 1 and 2. Now, listen. Now they know this kid can't make it through a season. It is what it is, right? I think the Dolphins have to move on. In my opinion, I'm not a Dolphin fan. Maybe they don't, but I have a feeling you will see the Dolphins either try to do a trade for Lamar, which I don't know how they would do it because they don't have picks, or I could see Jimmy G potentially going there because of the coach. Ooh. Because he was in San Francisco and they had that connection.
Sure.
I definitely could see that happening. Also, Derek Carr, I can also see happening with New England or Miami.
That's what Colin Cowherd said today as well. He sees Derek Carr landing in Miami as a distributor of the ball, which is what they need rather than a big arm like Tua. Aaron, what do you think on the Tua situation? Is he the QB in Miami next year?
Yeah, I mean, he played well this year, right? But you're right. He can't get through an entire season. But the writing's kind of been on the wall a little bit because, obviously they were trying to get Tom Brady in the offseason. They were trying to trade for Deshaun last year.
I forgot. I didn't even bring that up. You're right.
They were trying to go for him this offseason as well. So, and I know what you're saying, Tommy, like, oh, we'll just, even if he was in year 1 or 2, we'll just, bring some, that never works. You can never take a first-round quarterback, go a year or 2, bring somebody else in and then be like, all right, we're going to start over. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. I can't think of a single situation where that's worked successfully. But I like Tua. I like Tua, but
I do too.
He's just how many concussions can you have before you have to start thinking about life outside of football?
Yeah. Especially in that short of time span.
Yeah.
Right.
That short of time span where they're, that close to each other, that repeated trauma is really what gives you those horrific long-term results, and obviously we can sit here and talk about the most extreme cases, Junior Seau and things like that. But, we'll avoid those conversations for the time being. But I think, we've beat a dead horse a little bit talking about all the games that are coming up and everything. But I want to, I don't know, Aaron, we can go 1 of 2 routes from here. We can talk QB carousel.
Cool.
or we could talk bets.
Yeah, I don't really have any bets queued up specifically outside of just slamming home all these free bets I've been getting from signing up everywhere promotion wise.
So Tommy, are you a sports gambler?
I do not, man.
Okay.
I do not.
No,
I
it's
do
not.
not
It's
bet,
a
but
wise
I can
choice.
listen to you guys. I do not know anything about bets. I hate them. I
So-
think I tried one time and I lost. I'm like, never.
I can understand that sentiment. So Aaron lives in Ohio. Sports gambling or mobile sports gambling has just been
No,
legalized.
you can do it. They have like live
Oh.
sports books at the casinos.
No. I know that,
Oh,
but the big thing is that it's on your
Oh,
phone.
right. Yeah, I'm doing it while I'm
Um,
taking a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Bored.
So you can live bet the fucking Browns or Cavs or anything like that while you're riding through. But
Right.
honestly, there is one bet that I've been hammering since the news came out this afternoon, and that is that the Bengals will cover the spread and that Joe Burrow will throw for over 272 yards on Sunday. I think they're taking this personally,
Right.
which if you're in the NFL, it's not abnormal. I think any team in that scenario would do the same thing. Anything that you can use as extra motivation to get that competitive edge over your opponent, a division rival that sees you twice a year, anything that you can do to kind of rally the troops, which I think, given what everybody went through, the Bengals included on Monday night, you kind of need that spark, that thing to kind of click you back on. Obviously, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd went to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center today to spend time with DeMar. Tyler Boyd has the Pitt connection there. T. Higgins has the connection, obviously, because he was trying to tackle T. Higgins, and DeMar's family reached out to T. I've heard school children in Buffalo have written letters to T, and school children in Cincinnati have written letters to DeMar. It's been a pretty amazing, come together. Overall, it's been pretty
some
fucking
awesome
cool.
humanity out of it.
It really has.
From it.
Yeah, Zach Taylor's wife has led a drive of getting handwritten cards from school kids. Started at her kids' schools, and it has grown to 20 plus greater Cincinnati elementary schools are writing cards to DeMar. It's pretty neat. So getting that closure, if you will, obviously DeMar still has a long way to go, but getting that and then needing to focus back on football, that can be difficult. And getting this news of just feeling fucked, you know what I mean? You feel like you're getting the raw end of the deal. I think that's going to put a massive chip on the shoulder of the Bengals. And I think they feel like Thanos just walking into an Avengers battle right now, ready to just snap their fingers and destroy whatever they have. And that's I think the fan base has kind of embraced that. It's all right, fuck it. It's us versus everybody. If you want to give us the short end of the stick, we will just go ahead and beat the dog shit out of everybody in our way. And I think that's kind of the mentality. Even Zach Taylor today has said, you want to give us 7 home games, 9 road games, and threaten to take a home playoff game away from us. This team is built for that. That was his comments. I think that kind of just everybody's oh, let's fucking go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm hammering.
So you're hammering the Bengals?
I'm hammering the Bengals. I'm hammering the over, which was at 39.5. Are you kidding me? They could put up 30 by themselves. And then I'm going to hammer Joe Burrow over 272 passing yards as well. He threw for 500 damn near twice against this defense last year. So I'm obviously different defense, a lot healthier, but I feel pretty good about going into this game that they're just going to throttle them.
I like it. I threw out my bet of the week on Wednesday. We did where I said Jalen Warren's going to go over, 37.5 rushing receiving yards. Cause again, Brown's rushing defense is terrible. Give me the backup who will have 2-3 rushing yards. That'll give them 10, 15 each. A couple of receptions will be fine. I don't have a ton other queued up, but just to kind of go on the bet angle. One of my biggest piece of advice is to anyone listening, and Corey, and I know Tommy, you don't bet, but instead, when we're in the playoffs, you're going to get odds on Super Bowl champion. It's going to be, once rounds narrow down, the odds do as well. In the divisional round, or even in the semifinals, the conference championships.
Conference champs, yeah.
If you think there's a team that you want to bet on for the Super Bowl because you're going to get better implied odds because there's more teams to bet on, don't do that. Just bet on the quarterback as the Super Bowl MVP.
Why is
because
that?
you were going to get better implied odds. Let's say I did this with the Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl. They
Mhm.
were like plus 300 to win the Super Bowl.
You traveled to a
Mahomes-
legal sports gambling state to do
No,
this.
I just exactly, sure. But Pat Mahomes Super Bowl MVP is like plus 550 or plus 600 or something like that, because you have all these other players diluting that pool as well, which makes it the odds are going to be better. And let's face it, if that team is going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to win the MVP? Somebody else could, but 90% of the time it's going to be the quarterback. So
Sure.
get the better odds, get the better sure thing, do that. That's what I'm going to be doing this year.
There's another one I really like that I'm looking at right now on Caesars. I think you're on FanDuel.
I'm on a
lot.
couple different because they're giving
So-
out free shit.
Well, jump on Caesars right now because they're giving the Jets +3 against the Dolphins. Skylar Thompson, I believe, is the quarterback for the Dolphins on Sunday, and the Jets are getting +3. I don't understand that line a lot because
Because
I
it's Joe
believe.
Flacco.
Oh, is it Flacco that's starting?
Mhm.
Okay,
Not that I mean,
I think he's better than Zach Wilson.
oh yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just the Jets don't necessarily have really much to play for outside of it's just one of those games that you kind of just stay away from, in my opinion. Now +3 is pretty decent.
Yeah.
You could maybe even tease that down if you want, but either way.
So, I'm just gonna try and run through some line. I think Colts -2.5. I don't know how I feel about that one. Obviously, I know you took the Texans.
I would just take the Texans money line there.
Texans
What is it?
money
Like
line
165 or something?
118 actually.
118.
And
Never
another
mind.
a really interesting line. Chargers +3.
We talked about that on our pod.
But it's even money at +3.
That makes me so nervous.
It makes I feel like
Because-
the Broncos are going to win. I feel like Broncos money line is now the way
not-
safer bet.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one.
Man, that is gnarly. That is absolutely gnarly. So, Chad, if you have any bets that you're lining up or any topics that you want to talk about tonight that we've got going on, we just an impromptu show. We appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us, and we of course appreciate Tommy dropping by from the Mafia Sports Report every Wednesday when we go live with Dingers, Dunks, and Drives. Tommy is the other page that we are broadcasted on. So if you come here from Rally Top Sports, go check out Mafia Sports Report. They got a ton of great content on the YouTube page, so go check them out. Tommy actually produced our intro and outro videos as well. He's produced some of our thumbnails that we use on YouTube, so we appreciate the support, obviously, from you and your team and everything like that. And Mafia, Bill's Mafia. We have a good showing on Wednesday nights of Bill's Mafia that come through and a few have stuck around as well. So we obviously really appreciate the camaraderie, and honestly, that's like probably one of my favorite parts about doing this is just like linking up. We've done Titans podcasts, obviously Bills podcasts with you, and Colts podcasts. We've had some Lions fans on, and just kind of interacting with different people across this platform has kind of been the coolest thing. And Tommy, you've been doing this a little bit longer than we have, so I don't know if is that kind of obviously probably your experience as well. At least I hope, being one of the people that you interact with.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. Like I've been doing this, I think 2 years now, a little over 2 years, and it's funny when you go back and watch your original stuff. It's so bad. It's so bad. But either way, live and learn, and you kind of you meet a lot of good people along the way. Sometimes you meet some bad people. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
I've met some shady people in this podcast world. Not a lot, but there's a few. Other than that, though,
Anything you can share? Any funny stories that you are like willing to share? Or no? Am I pushing the line there?
No, you're not pushing the line. So I was a guest / co-host for a specific channel. I won't call him out, but anyways, so they were a Homerish channel, which I didn't
Big
know.
Simpson fans.
Yeah, and anytime, listen, anyone that watches my stuff, I give it both ways, right? Good and bad. I'm gonna tell you how I
Nice.
feel. Not gonna just be like, oh man, Bills are the best team ever. We're gonna win by 50. Everything's like I'm gonna say what I don't like, and I went on this channel, and every time I were to say, hey, he'd cut me off to the next guy or boo me. They had little buttons that would boo me.
I want one of those.
Yeah. Or he'd cut me off, like he like just took me out of it. And eventually I'm like, I thought it was funny at first, but eventually I'm like, yo, this guy's really fucking with me. And then he'd have guests on and be like, I don't need you now. And I'm like, what? So anyways, that was a bad experience because I'm like,
is this channel still up?
It is, and it's terrible.
Awesome. I want to have him on a guest and kind of just fuck with him a little bit.
He's not a bad
and just
guy.
like kick him out of the video every now and again.
He's not a bad guy. He's just
it's just an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, he feels I think he thinks his shit don't stink, right? Like he's one of those guys. So that was a bad experience. But I met a lot of good people along the way, like I said, more good than bad. You guys, awesome. Sports Dynasty, which you guys had on. Yeah. Great guys. I just got linked up with these guys that are on Thursdays on my channel now, Academy Sports Show, and they're Lions fans and Michigan fan, like college, and they cover everything just like you guys kind of do, like do the sports thing. Like I just cover one thing is football, but they're good guys, and it's good because once you, like I said, once you guys been doing this long enough, and you guys know this by now, you start meeting other fans of other sports, and you start and you guys are Bengals and Pittsburgh and Cleveland, right?
Like, yeah, Cleveland, yeah.
So that's a wild
Cavs, right?
Baby. Right. So, and I'm Pistons and Tigers, and I can't cover those two terrible teams. It's not gonna happen.
You could, but you might as well just empty.
It would be misery. So, yeah. But either way, no, it's been fun. Still learning a lot. You guys know that. Like, there's always something to learn. I still don't understand YouTube algorithm. Like, I think I know it, and then I'm like, why? I'm only getting 50 views. It's wild, man. But it's fun if you're passionate. My thing is this, man. If you're passionate about something, right? Like whatever it is, and it doesn't matter, music, football, movies, TV. You're gonna have fun with it, and if you have fun with it, keep doing it. The day it's not fun for me anymore is the day I'm done. You won't see me here anymore, but I'm loving it, man. I love it. I love interacting with everybody. And that's what I do, man. I had Stevie Johnson on last week, which is, I'm like, what the, and everyone's like, how are you getting Stevie Johnson? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm doing, cool. I might be starting something with him soon, which is really good. So, hey, you guys never know. I know you guys had a former player, correct? Ben
Troop.
Yeah. I actually watched that episode, guys, by the way, and he was giving you guys really good praise, which is awesome. And by the way, it's true. Everything he told you guys is very true, man. Keep to what do what you guys do. Yeah, man, and be real, be yourselves and have fun. That's all I can tell you. If anyone's doing this, trying to get in the podcast game, man, don't be fake. Do your thing and just have fun, and whatever happens.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Aaron, you got anything else for us tonight, Aaron? What else can we cover tonight? I know you wanted to talk a little Cavs.
Cavs around right now. I do have the Cavs going on with me right now. They're down 2 right now to the Nuggets. Nuggets are legit. Yeah, man. It's interesting because we always end up having these crossroads. You're obviously a Jazz fan, so the fact that we get kind of that unique perspective to talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade.
How are the Cavs, by the way? I don't even watch.
The Cavs are sitting. No, you're good. You're good. I believe right now they're still sitting 3rd in the East.
Okay.
They're 24-13. Playing really, really well. Donovan Mitchell has been phenomenal. They haven't really all been healthy at the same time for a lot. Mitchell's out tonight. Garland was out last night. We've been without Ricky Rubio for the whole season, obviously. But it'll be good to get him back soon. It's a really interesting time because, and Corey, you know this, I grew up as a small child living in Chicago. So I got to watch Michael Jordan on local television when I was a kid. And then I moved to Cleveland and, hey, here's LeBron James on local television. Like, so I just got to watch it. Like that's why I'm a huge basketball fan, Tommy, is because there wasn't a time when I would turn on the local news and they're like, local sensation. It's like, it's insane.
So yeah, I was okay. So I was a diehard. I still am Piston fan, and when I initially was football '89 Buffalo Bills, but then I started watching Pistons in 1995. So I just kind of missed the Bad Boys era and all that, and we were terrible, right? But I was a sports geek and I loved it, and I used to put like news clippings. I used to cut the newspaper out. And I live in Florida at that time, and I used to paste them on my wall every Pistons win. That's how like nerdy I was with sports. But anyways, so we were terrible. And then in 2000, we started building the team up. Joe Dumars, and dude, I never missed a fucking game. Like that team, that 2002, 3, 4, 5. Like when we built that team up, that roster: Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, bro. That was a phenomenal. You'll never. I know I'm getting off topic, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but you will never see another. You will never see another team, in my opinion, like the 2004 Pistons team.
I think basketball is completely different. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like, but in general,
No,
like,
I mean, Tom is
yeah.
right though, because I always say that that is the exception, not the rule. Because in basketball, you need a top 5 guy to win a championship. Like
you have
to year in year out.
Yeah.
And everyone is always like, "Well, you can win with this model." It's kind of like how like the Ravens with Dilfer in the NFL.
Perfect example.
You know
Tampa
what I mean? It's like yeah, you can win that way once on accident. Like, even that Pistons teams had to run into the falling apart. It was
tough,
no, but it was the Lakers with and then after that it was Kobe and Shaq went their separate ways. They were like it was the complete dysfunction of that.
The Pistons killed the Lakers. We finished
that. Right? And mind you, they had Gary Payton. That year they had Gary Payton and Karl Malone.
They had the corpse of both,
I mean, kind of.
but they were loading up for their 4th in a row. Like they had won 3 in a row.
Had they won 3?
I think they had won 3 in a row at that point.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it was supposed to be a sweep.
Easy,
but the other way.
I mean, yeah, right.
Like I just don't think you'll ever see it. Like he was saying, like Aaron was saying, we didn't have like what you need today, which is you need a superstar, and the Pistons don't. And unfortunately, now it's different now, and the rules have changed. I think we had a record that year. I think it was 7 or 8 straight games with holding a team under 70 points. I mean, you know how rare would never happen again. Like even as terrible as a team, they're going to score 80 points. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah. So you just want the rules have changed. You got the superstar rules now. So you need the thing with the NBA.
Yeah. But the thing with the NBA, and I agree with you, is the NBA has never been more superstar rich in terms of, this is the perfect. You still have LeBron, you still have Durant, you still have Curry, you still have these guys that are still at the top of their game, but you have this new crop of where it's like Giannis,
international
Jokic,
players,
the international players, sure, Luka.
You just listed 3 of them.
Luka is even in that age-wise there's still like that crop of guys that are like young but still showing, oh my God, these guys are going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So for the Cavs, that's been the interesting part this year, is because Garland took that leap last year. Evan Mobley is being regarded as, one of the best prospects since like Duncan and Garnett, from especially a defensive perspective. And then you make the Donovan Mitchell trade, who is what he is at this point. He's certainly a top 15 guy in the league. I think he can be the best player on a championship team, but kind of the same thing we were just talking about with whether you want to say Kirk Cousins or whoever. He does need to have that roster around him because he isn't a LeBron, he isn't a Giannis, or he can really just single-handedly take over.
Yeah, he needs to prove that he can do that, right?
But with Garland, Allen, Mobley, he
might not have to. Yeah,
I mean, Donovan Mitchell is the youngest guy of that core, and he's
he's
still only
stud,
in his. I'm sorry, he's the oldest. I meant to say he's the oldest guy in that core. He's and he's still ascending. So it's great to see. It's been a lot of fun. But the most important thing, or the thing that's been really fun for Cavs fans this year, is this is really the first time since, I don't know, the early 90s that we're doing this without LeBron James on the roster. And don't get me wrong, we love LeBron. We got a title because of LeBron.
That's right.
Will my city waited 50 years to get it. And, you know, it sucked for a long time. But, you know, we love LeBron because
Sorry to a Bills and a Bengals fan.
Yeah,
we get it.
Exactly.
Right,
So
yeah, totally understand.
but exactly, I wouldn't trade that for anything,
Yeah.
except maybe like a Browns Super Bowl. I think everyone would do that here because we're insane.
Yeah, I think like if you had to pick one championship to win, like Super Bowl is it, right? Yes,
Of course.
it is not even relatively close in my a World Series. That's cool. An NBA championship, yeah, that's cool. But for your team to win a Super Bowl, that is
but I'm not gonna crawl through the desert and go, oh, I actually wanted sparkling water.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally get that. I guess I think it's the hardest championship to win.
The Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's
100%.
in baseball, you can buy a roster.
Yeah. So, see, I'm a Tiger fan. Just a heads up. Terrible fucking team. And their motto is to build through the fucking through the farm system.
Yeah.
And I said, bro, that shit don't work, bro. You got
you need that and money.
Yeah. When Dave Dombrowski and the original owner, Illich, right, the Little Caesar guy, when he owned the team, when we were on that run, when we went to the World Series, you know, when we had Pudge and then we had Miggy was in his prime.
Verlander.
Verlander. We were spending big bucks though. We made the trades. That dude was not holding back. He was making, and then he passed away, and you know how that happens. Just like the Pistons owner, when an owner, let me tell you, in professional sports, if you don't get the right ownership, it's a wrap, bro. So when Bill Davidson died of the Pistons, he gave it to his daughter, and she was like, I don't fucking know what to do with basketball. And she sold the team to this fucking clown who lives in California who could give two shits about basketball. He just wants that money, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a GM for the first 3 seasons. He had a guy that he hired that was just acting GM. He wasn't even the real GM. And we finally get one, but you see how that works. And now of course we're terrible, obviously. And same with the Tigers. So the Tigers, the owner died, the son takes over. He don't want to spend money. Oh, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna Al Avila.
I think
it's like
Reds fans are sharing the same sentiment with you as well. Obviously, the Indians are in a different breed when having one of the best. Guardians. I appreciate that censorship there. Are in the same. Are in a different boat, having one of the best managers in baseball. But that's a topic for I think probably at least 2 months from now, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I think that's going to call it for us tonight, Tommy. We appreciate you dropping by, coming in, giving us a little bit of different perspective here, and mixing things up with us. And always appreciate the simulcast on Wednesday nights. Again, go ahead and check out Tommy's page on YouTube, the Mafia Sports Report. We simulcast there on Wednesdays, but. I think that's going to do it for us, Aaron. For Aaron, I'm Corey. Thanks for tuning in to Line to Gain. We'll catch you next time. See you guys.